thing I'm going to measure is my friction plate thickness, and that should be between 2.9 and 3.1 millimeters. Pull up my caliper, make sure I'm zeroed, take a measurement. .06. So that one's good, and I'll just go ahead and do that to all of them. Okay, so my friction plates were within limits. The next thing I'm going to do is check the friction plates and steel plates for warp, and you want something really flat, so I'm using a mirror. I'm just going to set that down and then use a thickness gauge of, I think it's 0.2 millimeters. So that's the max I want, the max warpage I want. So as long as I can't slide this underneath, my plates are within limits. So that one looks good. I'll just go ahead and do that for all of them. While I have these steel plates and friction plates out, I'm gonna just deglaze them. They don't look glazed at all. Like when they're glazed, they get really shiny, and the clutch will slip a bit. But just make sure I got some 600 grit sandpaper, some ultrafine sandpaper. I'm gonna set it on my mirror so it's nice and flat. I'm gonna lube it up with some lubricant, and then I'm just gonna take my plates and rub them around on there, just to kind of deglaze them a bit. Kind of hard to hold on to it, but the purpose of this is so it sticks better when you're in the clutch. Scuff it up a little bit. You'll be able to see this, but here's the one I just went over the sandpaper with, and here's one I haven't. So you can see how it's a little less shiny than this one, and hopefully that'll mean it's a little more grippy when I put it back together. Show this motion again. Shouldn't take much, and that shine will come right off there. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing lightly on the friction plates, just to make sure that this isn't glazed. It shouldn't take much on these, just a really light pressure, a few little swishes around, and that should be cleaned up enough. Probably won't be able to see it as well, but it doesn't do as much on these ones, but it's good to do. Okay, next I'm going to check my clutch spring free length. It should be between 33 millimeters and 34.2 millimeters. And that's 33.7261. These all look like they're in the 33.6.7 range. So these are all going to be fine. Just about to check the clearances on this oil pump, and I noticed my outer rotor and the pump housing are grooved pretty good from where they were spinning in each other. My fingernail catches these grooves really good and sort of catches them on the body, but I'm thinking this isn't typical wear. I might need a new outer rotor for my oil pump. I don't know if this is normal or not. I don't know if I can clean this up enough with it and keep it in spec, or whether I just need to get a new one. Okay, so I assembled my pump. I'm going to check the clearance between the inner and outer rotor, and it should be under 0.12 millimeters. So I'm going to use 0.1 millimeters and see how close I am. I'm not really sure how this is supposed to work, but I'm assuming when it's at its tightest, between the arcs, there should be less than 0.12 millimeters. So I shouldn't be able to get this thickness gauge in there, and I can't quite get it in there. So I think that clearance is okay. I should check this at all the points of contact. So this point and this point look like they're good as well. Clearance to check is between the outer rotor and the pump body, and that should be between 0.15 and 0.21 millimeters. So I got my 0.15 millimeter thickness gauge and 0.2, and I'll just see how close I am. Considering I thought this edge was worn too much, it seems that the clearances are okay. I can't even get this lower end gauge in there, so maybe I don't need a new rotor. Maybe it's fine. The next thing I'm going to check is my outer rotor diameter. I'm going to use my micrometer for that, and I should be at between 40.53 and 40.56 millimeters, but because I'm using my imperial micrometer, it'll be between 1.5957 and 1.5969. See how close I am here. Okay, I think these grooves might be stepping up the diameter of it a bit, because I'm sitting at 1.5967 and the high end is 1.5969. So that means I'm well within spec of diameter. So that means I can probably clean up some of these grooves without having to worry about going out of spec. Okay, I'm just measuring the ID of my pump or oil pump housing, and so I got my bore gauge, I stuck it in my micrometer, and it looks like it's within spec too. It needs to be the ID needs to be between 1.6028 inches and 1.6039, and I'm at 1.6025. So I'm okay. And the last thing to check on the oil pump is the side clearance. So that's the clearance between the edge of the rotors and the body. So it should be between 0.02 and 0.07 millimeters. I'm going to use my caliper as my straight edge again, and 0.06, as long as this can't go in there, and it sort of can. And again, I might be lifting my straight edge while I slide this in there. I think that's what I'm doing, so I think I'm okay. It's just on the verge, so I think that'll be alright. I think I'll just clean up the edge of that outer rotor and give give it another shot.